I say a lot on this program that the third and fourth lines really ought to be populated by younger, more energetic type players. And I believe that. Today I'm going to attach some names to it. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Generally speaking, the biggest criticism that I've had of Kyle Dubas to date, I mean, other than the obvious, the Ryan Graves contract, is that he populated his third and fourth lines with a bunch of older guys, which was never going to work when his top six forwards were going to be a bunch of older guys. That just wasn't going to add up over the course of an 82-game plus, theoretically, playoffs schedule. It just wasn't. And you know what? It didn't. And it wasn't until about halfway into the season that seemed to dawn on some people, and or some of those older players got hurt on those third and fourth lines, opening up some opportunities for others. And some of it was seized, some of it wasn't. But it still requires, I believe, heading into the 2024-25 NHL season, a full-on commitment from management. And that means not just Dubas, but also Mike Sullivan. They've got to be in sync when it comes to respecting the need for younger players on those bottom two lines. I'm going to keep waxing about that Carolina game. And you know the one I'm referencing, late in the season, where the best players on the rink were Drew O'Connor, Valtteri Puustinen, Jesse Puljujarvi, Jack St. Ivany, Jonathan Gruden, with a big impact in that game, literally. And the response afterward in the locker room was, oh, yeah, that was awesome. Even from the veterans, Lars Eller was going, that was tremendous. We needed that. They came here and they gave us that little bit extra that we'd been missing. And they did this against an opponent that usually skates rings around them. The Hurricanes don't just beat the Penguins, they skate rings around them in the process. Not on that night. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. So while it's easy and maybe even lazy for me to say, Dubas, go get some young players, because it's not easy to do, I'll acknowledge that. And you do have to make a trade like the Jake Gensel trade. Not that I'm advocating that one in hindsight, not yet anyway, but you have to make those types of trades to get younger, and ideally, a lot of people, myself included, will be proven wrong about the Gensel trade, and Dubas will have uncovered all kinds of gems in that group. But even setting those guys aside, the ones that are coming in the Gensel deal, I can look at this team and cite at least a couple of players who really, really, really need to be part of that third and fourth line, and maybe even more. I was going to mention three for you since I kind of like doing these things in threes, but I'm not putting O'Connor in that pack anymore. I'm sorry. I'm just not. O'Connor is a frontline NHL winger. He now knows what it takes to perform with the same consistent energy, the same consistent style night after night, and he's only becoming better and better from the skill perspective, to the extent that, let's be honest here, he was kind of the driver on the Sidney Crosby-Brian Rust line late in the season. So push DOC over. He's not on the fringe, to say the least, anymore. I want Sam Poulin involved, and I want him really involved. I want him honestly involved, not token involved, not skate a shift on the fourth line and let's study the film and see how Sam did. when he never had any chance to get used to his line mates. He doesn't have a real role. He doesn't have anything defined about who he is as a player. I believe that this training camp that's coming up needs to be in some ways committed to Sam and his immediate future, meaning he's got a 2-year contract. He just signed that. Okay, so Dubas and management showed their faith in Sam. He had, despite injuries, a very productive AHL season, 16 goals and 15 assists in just 41 games. And that's pretty good. That's what a first-rounder should be doing, a first-rounder up front. Sam's had some challenges. We all know that. Sam's fought through those challenges. We also know that. Now let's see what he can actually do. But tell him what he is. Or let him tell you what he is, but start putting some kind of framework on it. I'm going to reference DOC again here because DOC he came up, he's got the bigger body, and once he added that stride to his skating, you couldn't help but think, man, this guy could really be a wrecker if he's going around and just banging bodies and winning pucks. Well, he didn't limit himself to that. He didn't limit himself in any way. Even when at times it sounded like the coaching staff was doing that. Sam needs a little bit of guidance in that regard. Maybe it's the line that you put him on. Maybe it's just the line that you put him on in training camp. You know, think a little bit outside the box when it comes to camp. You don't need to get Sid and Gino ready for camp. But you do need to find out about the players around them. Don't cast Sam as some kind of fourth liner or a third line plugger even, if he might be more. The third guy I'm going to mention is Valtteri Puustinen. I no longer have very much to say about the young man, other than what I say to him only every time I see him, which is shoot the puck. Shoot the puck. The kid's been given a gift from God in terms of that release. He can let it go as a wrister. He can go as a one-timer from the left dot. He can do a lot of different things with the puck. He can finish in tight. As you might recall from the final game that they played this season on Long Island. Really, really nice touch. Shoot the puck, kid. Everybody knows you're nice. Stop being nice. Shoot the puck. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Michael, who asks, DK, how would Kyle Dubas earn the praise in Pittsburgh that Omar Khan is currently getting? For anybody who's not familiar, if you're just a hockey person, I know there's a lot of you. Khan is the general manager of the NFL franchise in town, the Steelers, and Khan has earned himself loads of praise, like over the top, can do no wrong praise. And the way that Dubas can get that is he can't. He can't. The number one reason for that, Michael, is that the NHL draft and the NFL draft have virtually nothing in common. The Steelers can walk into any draft and come away with realistically, 3 or 4 players you're going to see suit up for the opener, for the season opener this fall. The Penguins are heading to Las Vegas later this month without a first-round pick in a draft that even if they had a first-rounder, even if they were picking at 14th, which is where they'd be slotted if they had the first-round pick, the chances of getting someone who could just come in at 18 years old and make that impact instantly it's not good, okay? It's not easy even for the players who are in the top 5 to go into camps and do that. They're just children. They're not even fully formed physically. It's so funny how this works sometimes because you'll see the videos of these players, whether it's Canadian juniors or in Europe or whatever, and you'll see them doing stuff and you'll say, wow, that's amazing. That looks great. That would translate really well to the NHL. I watched Braden Yeager perform like a man against boys in development camp scrimmage last summer up at Cranberry. And then I went to go talk to the kid afterward, And he's there at his locker stall, just t-shirt, shorts, whatever. And I'm looking at him going, this kid's not going to be in the NHL. Not like this. No chance. Zero chance. He'd get killed. I mean, you know how we've been talking for years about Jake Gensel getting ragdolled, obviously undersized for the league, and the way opponents would seize upon that and just really smash him around. Well, that was Jake fully developed, actual adult. I looked again when Yeager was still doing well at the main training camp and, wondering if, not like he was going to wave a magic wand and show up a few weeks later, as the Incredible Hulk, but there really wasn't any difference. And just now, Taylor Haas, our Penguins beat writer at DK Pittsburgh Sports, made a trip up to Saginaw, Michigan to interview Yeager because his team, his Moose Jaw team from the WHL, had made it that far. And she said he'd gained maybe 3 or 4 pounds, according to him. That's how much he'd picked up. So that's something, considering that most athletes will tell you they lose around 10 pounds over the course of a full season, regardless of the sport. But it's still something. So comparing these jobs, hockey to football, you have to start with this. This is the biggest difference. Now, on top of that, Dubas comes in with inherited contracts of legendary players in a league where the cap didn't really move up significantly, or at all really until this summer. And not to turn this into a football discussion, but the biggest advantage that Khan has over all of his peers, including within the NFL, is that he still doesn't have to pay a quarterback. And if you don't know what that means, then you're not following the Steelers at all, and my explaining it to you wouldn't be all that interesting, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I think if Dubas were to have come in here and been afforded the opportunity to build this up as if it were an expansion team, you would see people generating some excitement about his work. You would see high draft picks coming in. You would see shiny new 18-year-old, 19-year-old superstar looking kids, and you would be thinking about the next generation, and none of that's in play. None of that's in play. And to an extent, it's not fair. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins, and we're going to do another one of these tomorrow.